Do you feel it? Chosen one? The way your heart beats a little faster. The way something deep inside you stirs. This is not just another message. This is a moment that was meant to find you. Out of the billions of people in the world. Through all the infinite directions your life could have taken today, you were guided here. This is no coincidence. Have you ever paused and asked yourself, why now? Why this exact moment? Why these exact words? There is something bigger at work here. You were never wandering aimlessly. Every experience, every challenge, every victory and heartbreak has led you to this divine appointment. Nothing has been by chance. If you've felt lost, if you've been carrying an invisible weight, if you've been caught between the person you once were and the person you are meant to become, this message is for you. You are being called forward. But stepping into a new season requires letting go of the old. The fears, the doubts, the regrets, they were never meant to define you. And today, in this sacred moment, you are being invited to release them, to step into a new beginning. This is not just inspiration. This is transformation. This is the funeral for your old self. And at the end of it, you will rise lighter, freer, and more aligned with the divine purpose that has always been waiting for you. Are you ready? Recognizing the weight of the past. Take a deep breath. Chosen one. Pause for a moment and truly reflect on the journey that has brought you here. You've carried so much. The silent battles, the unseen struggles, the weight of expectations, fears, and regrets, each one pressing down on you, shaping the way you move through life. Some days, it felt bearable. Other days, it was crushing. And yet, here you are, still standing, still searching, still hoping for something more. But tell me, how long have you felt this pull? That quiet voice inside you whispering that you were made for more? That stirring deep within, reminding you that your journey isn't over, that there is still a greater purpose waiting for you. Yet, at the same time, you feel trapped, stuck between the person you were and the person you are meant to become. That struggle you feel isn't random. It's not meaningless. It's proof that you are on the verge of transformation. Even in your darkest moments, even in the nights when tears fell so freely you thought they would never stop, you were never alone. Just as God promised Joshua before he stepped into the unknown, he whispers to you today, do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1 verse 9. Look back for a moment. Remember the times when you questioned whether you had the strength to keep going. The mornings when getting out of bed felt impossible. The days when you thought you would never break free from the pain, the patterns, the burdens that weighed you down. Yet somehow, you did. You made it through storms that were meant to break you. You found courage when fear told you to stop. You chose healing when staying in pain would have been easier. That is no accident. That is divine strength within you. But now, chosen one, it's time to ask yourself, are you still carrying burdens that no longer belong to you? Something served a purpose in your past. The identities you wore, the overachiever, the caretaker, the one who always had to be strong, they were necessary for a time. But are they still serving you now? Or have they become chains that are keeping you from stepping into the future God has prepared for you? God reminds us in Isaiah 43 verses 18 to 19. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? You are being called forward. But you cannot step into what is next while clinging to what was. The weight you've been carrying was never meant to be permanent. So ask yourself, are you willing to lay it down? Are you ready to surrender the past and make space for the transformation that is waiting for you? Because this is your moment, a divine invitation to release, to heal, and to rise. The funeral for the old self, letting go and liberation. This is it. Chosen one. the moment of release. For so long, you have carried the weight of who you once were, the version of yourself that questioned your worth, that hesitated, that held on to fears and doubts like old armor. You clung to the familiar because it felt safe, even when it no longer served you. But today, that chapter ends. This is your funeral for the old self. Not a mourning, not a tragedy, but a sacred farewell. You are not losing yourself, you are shedding what no longer belongs to you. Just as a seed must break open before it can grow. Just as the Israelites had to leave Egypt before they could enter the Promised Land. Just as Lazarus had to leave his tomb when Jesus called him forth, you are stepping out of what once held you captive. Lazarus, come forth. John 11 verse 43. God is calling you forward. Can you feel it? The habits that once comforted you. The identities that once protected you. The roles that once defined you. They were necessary for a time. But now they are chains. Chains that are keeping you from stepping fully into the person God has destined you to become. Will you trust Him enough to let them go? It's normal to grieve what was, even when you know it's time to move forward. Part of you hesitates, because the past is familiar. Even the Israelites, after being led out of slavery, longed for Egypt when the wilderness felt uncertain. But God is doing a new thing within you. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43 verses 18 to 19. This is not death as the world sees it. This is freedom. Today, I invite you to lay it all down. Every doubt, every fear, every identity you've outgrown. Picture yourself placing them in a box, wrapping them with care, not as something to be forgotten, but as something to be honored, because they serve their purpose. But now, they no longer define you. As you release them, feel the lightness in your spirit. Feel the space that is opening within you. A space where faith replaces fear, where clarity replaces confusion, where divine purpose replaces hesitation. This is the moment you've been waiting for. The old is gone. The new has come. Rise, chosen one. The void, navigating the unknown. You have laid the old to rest. But now, what comes next? This space you are in, the in-between. The quiet after letting go but before stepping into the new, this is the void. It feels unsettling, doesn't it? The habits, the roles, the patterns you once clung to are gone. But the new life hasn't fully taken shape yet. You are standing in the unknown, in the stillness, in the space between who you were and who you are becoming. At first, the void may feel like emptiness. It may feel like loss. But it is not here to harm you. It is here to refine you. Moses stood in the wilderness before leading his people. David wandered before taking his throne. Jesus spent 40 days in the desert before beginning his ministry. Every great transformation requires a season of stillness. And this is yours. Be still, and know that I am God. Psalm 46 verse 10. At first, the silence may feel unbearable. You might be tempted to run back to what is familiar, to grasp for old identities, to return to comfort, even if that comfort was never truly fulfilling. But you are not lost, you are being prepared. Remember when David faced Goliath? King Saul tried to dress him in heavy armor, but David realized it wasn't meant for him. He took it off and stepped into battle with nothing but a sling, 5 stones, and his faith in God. I cannot go in these, because I am not used to them. 1 Samuel 17 verse 39. What armor are you still wearing that was never meant for you? The void is asking you to release what doesn't fit, to strip away what was placed on you but was never yours to carry, to trust that what is ahead is greater than what is behind. It is in this space, this sacred in-between, that God's voice speaks the loudest. Remember Elijah, standing in the wilderness, Seeking the voice of God? He expected to hear it in the earthquake, the fire, the raging wind, but it didn't come in noise. After the fire came a gentle whisper, 1 Kings 19 verse 12. And in that whisper, Elijah found his direction. Are you listening? The void is not a punishment. It is an invitation to slow down, to sit in the stillness, to trust that even when nothing seems to be happening, God is working. It will be tempting to rush this process, to demand clarity, to crave immediate answers. But God does His greatest work in the stillness. Look at Noah. For years, he built the ark in silence, enduring ridicule and isolation, trusting in something he had not yet seen. Look at Abraham. He left behind everything familiar, stepping into the unknown with nothing but faith. Go from your country, your people and your father's household to the land I will show you. Genesis 12 verse 1. God didn't give him a map. He gave him a promise. And now, chosen one, God is asking you to do the same. To trust. To release control. To believe that even in this void, you are exactly where you are meant to be. So breathe. Surrender. Let the stillness teach you. Because on the other side of this void is something greater than you can imagine. And when the time comes, you will be ready. Honoring the past while embracing the future. Look back for a moment. Chosen one. Not with regret. Not with longing. But with honor. Everything you have endured, the battles, the heartbreaks, the moments when you thought you wouldn't make it, they were not in vain. The past was not a mistake, it was a teacher. It shaped you, refined you, and prepared you for this very moment. But here's the truth, you were never meant to stay there. God does not call you backward, He calls you forward. And now, He is asking you to step into the future without carrying the weight of the past. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43 verses 18 to 19. This is not about rejecting who you once were. It's about honoring the versions of yourself that got you here, and releasing them with gratitude. The overachiever who worked endlessly for validation. The caretaker who sacrificed for everyone else but forgot themselves. The strong one who bore every burden in silence. They were never failures. They were survival. They were resilience. They were the parts of you that kept going when everything else told you to stop. But now, they are not needed anymore. Like David standing before Goliath, shedding the armor that did not fit him. You must now lay down the identities that once served you, but are no longer yours to carry. I cannot go in these, because I am not used to them. 1 Samuel 17 verse 39. So take a moment. Picture yourself standing before every past version of yourself, the one who fought, who struggled, who sacrificed. Honor them, thank them, release them, not as a loss, but as an evolution. Because you are stepping into something greater. You are not burying the past in mourning. You are planting it, so that something new can grow. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. John 12 verse 24. The old self has fulfilled its purpose. Now, it is time to rise. Breathe in the newness. Feel the space that is opening in your spirit. Because God is doing a new thing within you. And it begins the moment you say, I am ready. Resurrection, embracing a new identity. The old has been laid to rest. The weight you carried. The fears that held you back. The identities you once clung to, they are no longer yours. And now, you rise. This is your resurrection. Chosen one. The moment you step into who you were always meant to be. But stepping into the new requires trust. Will you trust that God has prepared you for this? Just as Jesus rose after 3 days in the tomb. Just as Lazarus stepped out when Jesus called his name. Just as Joseph emerged from the pit and the prison to fulfill his destiny. This is your moment of emergence. Lazarus, come forth! John 11 verse 43. And now, God is calling you forth. For so long, you've been trapped in the in-between, no longer who you were, but not yet fully who you are becoming. But now, the hesitation ends. The waiting is over. Because today, you claim your new identity. The version of you that doubts, it no longer exists. The version of you that hesitates, it has no place here. The version of you that plays small, that era is over. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are stepping boldly into your divine calling. Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. Genesis 12 verse 1. God didn't give Abraham a full map, He gave him a step. And Abraham moved forward in faith. Will you do the same? The path ahead may be unclear. The journey may still feel uncertain. But you are not stepping forward alone. God is with you. He has gone before you, preparing the way. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Your new identity is not something you have to earn, it is already within you. It has always been there, waiting for you to claim it. So stand up, lift your head, feel the lightness of this moment, the breath of new life filling your spirit. This is your resurrection. This is your rebirth. And the world is waiting for the real you to rise. Walking in the light, living authentically. You are no longer who you used to be. The old self has been laid to rest. And the new you has risen. But now comes the real challenge, walking in this truth, fully and unapologetically. No more shrinking to fit into spaces that can't hold your light. No more dimming yourself to make others comfortable. No more pretending to be less than who God has called you to be. You are stepping into your light, and nothing will stop you now. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5 verse 14. For so long, you may have tried to conform, to fit into the expectations of those around you, to be who others wanted you to be. But God never called you to blend in. He called you to shine. Think of David. His own family overlooked him. His brothers saw him as nothing more than a shepherd boy. But God saw a king. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance. But the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7. Like David, you were chosen not because of how the world sees you, but because of who you are in the eyes of God. And now, it's time to own that truth. But let's be honest, walking in the light is not always easy. Not everyone will understand this new version of you. Some may question your transformation. Others may resist it. And that's okay. Jesus himself was rejected by his own people. But did that stop him from fulfilling his purpose? No. And it will not stop you either. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118 verse 22. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be faithful. So keep shining. Keep walking boldly. Keep speaking truth. Living with purpose. And refusing to let the opinions of others shake your calling. Because this is your destiny. And when the storms come, and they will, you will not be shaken. Just as Jesus stood in the boat, unbothered by the raging sea, you will stand firm. Peace. Be still. Mark 4 verse 39. Nothing can stop you now. You are radiant, powerful, and fully aligned with your divine purpose. And the world will see the light of God through you. So rise, chosen one. Step into your light. Building a life in alignment with divine purpose. You have stepped into the light. Now, it is time to build a life that reflects who you truly are. No longer shaped by fear. No longer confined by past limitations. No longer living according to the expectations of others. This is your moment to create a life in full alignment with God's purpose. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. Proverbs 16 verse 3. This is not about chasing worldly success. It is about building a life that feels like home, a life that is deeply rooted in faith, joy, and divine intention. But to build something new, you must first clear away what no longer belongs. Think of Joseph, betrayed, abandoned, and imprisoned. It would have been easy for him to believe his story ended in suffering. But God was preparing him for something greater. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done. Genesis 50 verse 20. Your past has not disqualified you. It has prepared you. Every hardship, every lesson, every moment of struggle. They were not setbacks, they were building blocks. Now, it is time to use them. 1. Creating a life of authenticity. You are no longer here to survive. You are here to thrive. A life aligned with divine purpose is a life where your actions reflect your values. Your relationships uplift and support your growth. Your work serves a higher mission, not just a paycheck. God did not create you to live a life of quiet frustration. He created you to live fully, freely, and abundantly. I have come that they may have life, and have it to the full. John 10 verse 10. 2. Embracing divine timing. Not everything will happen overnight. There will be moments of waiting, moments of refining. But delay does not mean denial. Remember Nehemiah? He rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem in the face of opposition. He didn't let fear stop him. The God of heaven will give us success. We, His servants, will start rebuilding. Nehemiah 2 verse 20. God is doing the same for you. He is strengthening your foundation so that when the blessings come, you will be ready to receive them. 3. Surrounding yourself with the right people. As you walk in your purpose, some people will naturally fall away. This is not loss. This is alignment. Do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so? Amos 3 verse 3. The people who are meant to walk this journey with you will recognize your light and celebrate it. They will not ask you to dim it. You are no longer chasing connections that drain you. You are attracting relationships that uplift, inspire, and strengthen your faith. 4. Trusting the process. Yes, there will still be challenges. Old patterns may try to resurface. Doubt may whisper lies. But now, you know better. You have the wisdom to recognize what is no longer serving you. You have the strength to walk away from anything misaligned. You have the faith to trust that what God has planned is far greater than what you are leaving behind. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7. 5. Stepping fully into the life God has prepared for you. This is your time. You are no longer waiting for permission. God has given you everything you need to build a life of purpose, fulfillment, and abundance. So stand tall. Own the life you are creating. Let it be a reflection of your deepest joy, your highest calling, and your divine essence. You are not just existing, you are thriving. And the best is yet to come. Becoming a light for others. You have risen, chosen one. You have stepped into your divine identity, broken free from the weight of the past, and aligned your life with God's purpose. Now, it is time for the next step, becoming a light for others. This journey was never just about you. It was about the lives you are meant to impact, the souls you are destined to uplift, and the example you are called to set. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5 verse 14. For so long, you may have felt unseen, like your voice didn't matter, like your struggles were just burdens to bear. But every challenge you have faced, every lesson you have learned, has prepared you to shine. Your story is not just a testimony, it is a beacon for those still walking in darkness. Think of Moses. He didn't believe he was worthy to lead, yet God used him to guide an entire nation. Think of Esther. She wasn't born into power, yet she was placed in the perfect position to save her people. Think of Paul, a man who once persecuted believers, yet his transformation became the foundation for spreading the gospel. Like them, you were not chosen for yourself alone, you were chosen to be a light. 1. Embracing your role as a guide for others. Some people will see your transformation and wonder how you did it. Some will be drawn to your presence, not even knowing why, but feeling something different about you. Some will come to you in their brokenness, searching for the very hope you once longed for. And now, you are ready to give it. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5 verse 16. Being a light doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean having all the answers. It means being willing. Willing to share your story. Willing to offer encouragement. Willing to stand firm in your truth, even when others doubt. 2. Leading by example. People are watching, not to judge, but to see if transformation is real. You are living proof that change is possible, that God restores, renews, and redirects lives. You don't have to force anyone to believe in your journey. Let your life be the evidence. Walk in faith, even when you don't have all the answers. Speak with kindness, even when others don't understand. Move with purpose, even when the path ahead isn't fully clear. Because when people see you walking in light, they will begin to believe they can do the same. Follow my example, as I follow the example of Christ. 1 Corinthians 11 verse 1. 3. Not everyone will understand, and that's okay. Not everyone will celebrate your growth. Some may resist it. Some may doubt it. Some may even try to pull you back. Jesus himself was rejected in his own hometown. A prophet is not without honor except in his own town, among his relatives, and in his own home. Mark 6 verse 4. But did that stop him? No. And it will not stop you either. You are no longer here to convince. You are here to shine, to be a light for those who are ready to receive it. 4. Using your gifts to serve. Every skill, every talent, every experience you have, they were not given to you by accident. Your wisdom is meant to be shared. Your words are meant to inspire. Your presence is meant to heal. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others, as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. 1 Peter 4 verse 10. Whatever you do, whether you teach, create, lead, or simply encourage those around you, do it with purpose. You are not here to live a small life. You are here to expand, inspire, and transform. 5. Shining without fear. There will still be storms. There will still be challenges. But you now know that the light within you is greater than any darkness. Think back to when Jesus calmed the storm. His disciples were afraid, believing the waves would consume them. But Jesus stood and said, "Peace, be still." Mark 4 verse 39. And the storm obeyed. This is the power of the light you carry. Nothing can shake you now. 6. A ripple effect that changes lives. When one person decides to walk in their truth, they inspire others to do the same. Your transformation is not just for you, it is an invitation for others to rise. Somewhere, someone is praying for a sign that change is possible. And you are the proof. So rise, chosen one. Shine without hesitation. Because when you do, you are not just changing your own life, you are lighting the way for countless others. You have walked through the fire, but it did not consume you. You have laid the past to rest, but you are not empty. You have stood in the void, but you were never alone. And now, you rise. This is not the end. Chosen one, this is your beginning. For so long, you doubted your worth. You questioned your purpose. You carried burdens that were never meant to be yours. But today, you stand on the other side of transformation, lighter, stronger, and more aligned with who God created you to be. For we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans 8 verse 28. Everything you have experienced, the struggles, the triumphs, the moments of uncertainty, has led you to this moment. And now, the only question left is this: will you embrace it? 1. Owning the new you. This version of you is not an accident. You were always meant to rise. You are no longer waiting for approval. You are no longer bound by the past. You are no longer afraid to shine. Like Abraham stepping into the unknown. Like Moses leading his people forward. Like David standing before Goliath, you are walking in faith, not fear. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Isaiah 43 verses 18 to 19. 2. Trusting what comes next. The road ahead may still be unclear. There will be moments of doubt. There will be challenges that try to pull you back. But you are no longer the person who second guesses your own strength. God has already gone before you. He has already made a way. I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. Isaiah 45 verse 2. So walk boldly. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. 3. Declaring your transformation. Let this moment be your declaration. Not just to yourself, but to the world. You are no longer who you used to be. You are walking in divine purpose. You are ready to shine. And as you step forward, remember this: your light is not just for you. Somewhere, someone needs your story. Someone needs your courage. Someone is waiting for the proof that transformation is possible. Be that proof. So, if this message has spoken to you, if you feel this shift in your spirit, take a moment to declare it. Say it out loud. Write it down. Comment below: I am ready to shine. Because the world is waiting. And the best is yet to come.